Okay, the time is 9:56 p.m. Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. May the 4th be with all of you. Hey, friends, Dennis Nappy the second here. It's been quite some time since I've been on the air. I didn't get to do a world event session last month. Things have been kind of hectic and crazy, equally as hectic in my life right now, but I was able to actually get a session knocked out, and I want to get it time stamped. My remote viewing world events predictions for the month of May 2021. I did my session on May 3rd, 2021, looking at the future, trying to see what's going to happen in the upcoming month. I didn't feel so great about this session. I'm battling a cold. Um, but I wanted to get it out there as I'm going through my training and just kind of learning as a remote viewer. But I did just get off the line with some other remote viewers and found that my session had some very similar elements. So now, after speaking with some more experienced viewers, I have a little bit more confidence that I'll have elements of some of these events that are up and coming for the month of May 2021. I predicted four events for the month of May. I just looked into four different stories and I just kind of ran out of steam. So I'll share my data with all of you right now. I want to say thank you to those of you that have reached out over the past couple sessions that I've put up there. Your feedback has been very helpful and very appreciative, and it's a good confidence boost too. And I just appreciate knowing that you guys are looking at me and my journey and hopefully learning from my mistakes and from what I'm doing, and also helping me to grow for those of you that are a little bit more experienced than me. So which doesn't take much to get more experience than me right now, as I'm still new at all this. So here's my sessions. Here's my session here. I did one session, uh, and this was my tasking. And I still like to write out my tasking for world events because I did have a discussion with somebody online. Is this front loaded? Is it not front loaded? I know I'm looking into news events. I know what the top trending news stories are, but I try not to pull out stories that, oh, if you just watch the news, you're going to know what that is anyway. So, but here's my tasking. Viewer will describe the major news events that occur in May 2021 and are reported in the media. Okay, here we go. This was done on May 3rd, 2021 using CRV. And at the very beginning of this session here, I just had these wavy lines with these dots to the side. I wrote down steam vent river, some colors, and then I just didn't pursue this any further. I don't know why, but this was just something that popped in my head as I started, and I didn't get any more data on it. So I don't expect that to correlate to anything really at this point. It's too open ended. But here we go. So this is what I'm calling event one. I labeled it here. And this was an energetic event. I had energetics, wavy, propulsion, movement, force, tingle, rumble, I'm sorry, or pulsing. And I had the word shock here as an AOL. And looking at my S2 data here, this is just my sensory data here. My AOL was like a sparkle or razzle dazzle. I had fizz, hiss, like the fireworks hiss, like after the fireworks pop and you just hear them kind of crackle on the way down. That's what I was hearing. Or electric sounds, tingle, hard, shock, electric. That was for my touch. My taste was like a burnt or a hot or a searing taste. Looking at my visuals here, white, sparkle, flash on a black backdrop here. And my smells, I smelled ozone, energetics, and I got this shape, almost like an ideogram here. It was like fizzle, fizzle, and then boom, it came up and it dropped down and around here. And I had looking on the right hand side as kind of AOL's pain, nightfall, boom. It reminded me of that explosion in China. It was like a chemical factory a few years back. And then I had AOL, a dome, temple on the mount, a lightning strike. And then looking down here, it was just a harsh, rhythmic, cold, and compressed. It's not a boom. It was like this buildup of a fizzle sound, and then it just opens and expands in energy and sound. It's like it was just really loud. But it wasn't like a typical boom sound. It was different. Looking back on the left-hand side here, the dimensions to it, for my horizontal, it was flat, flat, and then went up and over, and there's that dome shape there. My vertical, again, there was an up movement and then a down movement, and my diagonal, it was down and then up, so a swooping movement. And then my mass, density, space and volume just expanding outward. So my AI was just, wow, powerful, my aesthetic impact. So I felt this was some kind of energetic event. Could have been maybe an explosion. Here's a sketch from overhead. If I'm up top looking down at it, my top view from above. Something in the center here, I labeled it A, and it was soft, squishy, bouncy. I wrote rub here. That might have been, think I meant to write rubbery. B here, this is the outer edges of it here. Soft, fuzzy, fluffy movement like a thick cloud, energized, powerful structure. On the left-hand side here, I wrote down fast, expanding, flowing, rolling, fast, then slow. And if you see an explosion, everything moves quick, and then the dust as it comes out is a little bit slower. And then I had an AOL here of an impact or an explosion. Okay, still in this first event, moving to the optimal position to sketch and describe. It was weird. This was expanding horizontally. This structure here, whatever this is, when I was drawing this, I thought it was like just this domed structure with windows here, and this is a doorway here. But this could have been an aircraft for all I know as well. But it was weird that the energetics, I definitely did not feel any energetics moving vertically. Everything just went out in the horizontal. Um, so here, A, it was hard, metallic, thin structure. This makes sense for an aircraft now, the way this is described. My B here, which was this arrow moving outwards, I had this inward rotational energy, like a suction, movement, impulse, wave, shock wave. So although these arrows are moving outward, I just had this inward rotational energy. The more I think about it, maybe that is an aircraft. AOL, orbital, or Orion, damage. Looking for a location here. I had the US, here's me over here, over towards the East Coast, somewhere in the central Midwest. I have never tried to get a location before. So this was just a shot in the dark here. I wanted to try something new. But I had this here, and then I just had this movement westward, this energetics westward. I probed the West Coast. It seemed open, cool, breezy, and calm. It didn't seem like there was any issue here on the West Coast. I don't really know what these lines were. I just had central energetic push westward, hard, heavy, and down. Moving to my second event here, I labeled it event 2. I had this, I don't know what this was, this object here, luminescent, glowing, ranch charged, pulsing, alive on the medical horizon as an AOL. Aura, burst, the borealis, a sunspot, and I also had microscope. Is this a cell, a breakthrough, a mirage, an illusion? Now I'm going to call this maybe a event 2A or event, because then I did an ideogram and my data is very different. So I think this is a separate event here. I got to work on better separating my events, but I think this was a separate event. And then went in, I did an ideogram, and this brought me to something else. I think a different story here, which was life. And I had hard, soft, obscure, resilient. On the right here, I wrote data as an AOL. Now, what I think happened here, it's a life form, a male life form, heavy, sullen, celebrated, and he smiles, and then an AOL of an accusation. But this de-escalates, or escalates quickly, I should say. He was sullen and melancholy, and I had thin hair on top and maybe a little bit longer in the back. I had energetics coming out of his heart. Now, that could simply mean maybe his heart was racing. And I kept getting drawn to his stomach, his pot belly, a little bit of a belly on him. And then I moved to the optimal position to sketch and describe it. Again, I wrote as an AOL, stomach, round, and an opening or a wound here. And there was just like a gash here. So for A, I wrote something going in, something coming out. A was spread, embedded, subdermal, traveling. So this is maybe a cut in the skin, and this is blood, something coming into his skin. And then B, there was suction, resistance, pressure, and elastic. And I had an AOL of abrasive. So I'm interpreting this maybe a stab wound as it goes in, or a bullet. There would be that suction with a knife wound going into the stomach. So move to 1 hour before the event. At an optimal location and sketch and describe. So an hour back in time before this event happens. Shaky Wavy was a crowded location. There was infrastructure there. There was a person. It was at a place or a location, obviously. What's important? Crowded, people walking. It was busy. And I had AOLs of New York City or California. And I could picture either a busy New York City street or California, like where the Hollywood stars are. And I've never been there, but that's kind of what I had in my mind there. Some kind of popular place like that. Move to and describe the event, same event here, and it was just a white man. He was bent over, grabbing his stomach in pain. And I just back to the stomach. This is not what he looked like. I think he looked a little bit more elderly. I should have drawn a nose on him, but his hair was thin. It was thinning, maybe gray hair that I saw. Okay, and just try to get some stage 4 data here. Describe the cause or source of the pain. I saw my S2 light blue expanse, and then something was hard and centered, and then something softness and jelly. So a bullet or a knife going into the stomach, maybe. There was anger, pain, frustration, disappointment. Again, a hardness in the stomach. Was it a gunshot? Okay, moving on to my next event here. This involved land. This was a land event. I had right away as an AOL, iceberg or climate change related. The land was flat, heavy, and solid. There was downward pressure. It was wide and expansive, sinking, moving, falling. Moving to the optimal position here, it was falling. It was hard. And I had what this is, it's like the sheer side of a cliff or a mountain just dropping, sliding down. Parts of it were wet. Is it water? Is it ice? Is this natural? There were fine particulates I had here as an AOL. Solid objects rolling down, like the side of a mountain collapsing or a building imploding. A soft rumble is heard from a distance. The ground shakes. Looking here, there's danger, fine particulates or a problem, spread, disperse. Was there chemical smells? Is it sulfur? This may be natural. Was it volcanic? So this could have been an explosion or of a chemical plant, or it could have been a natural event. I'm leading towards this being a natural event here. That's the data felt stronger for that. Move to the most important aspect in sketch and describe. This is a rumbling, rolling event, natural, wonder, powerful. This sketch here is actually, it's a mountain, at least that's how I'm interpreting it. And there was just this downward movement. This stuff down here at the bottom, I think were just trees. I had an aesthetic impact. Wow. Strong, powerful, scary. Nature is scary. Is it an avalanche, a landslide? I did have a sense of remorse. I don't know if that means there's a loss of life. I don't know. I didn't go any further in that. I just took some notes on that third event here. It's a natural event, a natural structure, collapse or fall, a dust or cloud at the bottom, a rumble, trees at the base of the mountain, maybe snow. Then I went to move to and describe the top crypto news. So I'm calling this event 4, and I had this downward spiral as it's coming down. I had a spiral, downtrodden, flat, and a plateau. I have to say, the ideogram was pulling downward, but my strongest feeling was this plateau. And you do see in my ideogram here, it does go across flat at the bottom. But I wanted to move to the optimal position of this event, and it had something tied to a movement or an algorithm, but it felt controlled, and that's very important. It was downtrodden. This is connected to something. What's it connected to? A market cap, a turn of events. Is it political? Is there a change, transition? Sounds bad, panic. But this is part of the plan. Things drop and fail while others are put into place in secret. This will be a good month to buy. I had an AOL of gold and silver. I also had up here as an AOL demolition, fake, destroy. I got the sense of something's going to be brought down intentionally, but that's all part of the plan. Now, I didn't see this data with any of the other viewers, as far as things coming down. I don't think that I did anyway, if memory serves. Looking at some more AOLs here, Cascade, wireless. I don't know why I had grenade or granada. That just popped in my head, so I wrote it down. But I had this sketch. It was just something moving down, and then it split out. And I wrote fingers or tendricles. Tendricles not a real word. It's actually a word I used in a book I'm writing. But this is a division, a splitting, AOL of a halving. Beware of the split. But this is part of the plan. Building a digital ecosystem takes time, I wrote. A new environment. This is the new frontier, the Wild West. One will split into many, a disruption. Some of the parts will fail, others will infiltrate, evolve, and enforce. Overall, a downfall and division. These are just my notes here, expanding it. I had that energetic event with the round structure that expands outwards. I had the male that possibly got stabbed in the stomach. I wrote white male, thin hair on top, balding, older, 60 plus, in a populated area. The natural event was a volcano or a landslide, and then a crypto downfall and division. But I did write flat. Over flat, I think, was the overall impression I had of the charts for the crypto news there. that was all I had. Like I said, I'm battling a cold here, not COVID, but so that was all the energy I had left into that session. It's been 2 months since my last session. I just don't have the time to go back and look at what my hits were and what my misses were and evaluate that. I do want to get back into that habit though each month, just to kind of track progress and see what I had and what I missed. So again, for those of you that watch what I'm doing as I'm going through this journey, thank you so very much for your kindness and your constructive criticism and enthusiasm. It's really cool to connect with those of you out there. So I just want to say thank you for your support. So I'll keep them coming as I go through this. I did get a chance to work on a really cool remote viewing project with some really talented viewers on a UFO related target. So we're going to release some data on that in the upcoming future. It was a fun target to look at. One of the old UFO disappearance mysteries out there, going back, I think it was in the 70s where it was set. So fun target. It's really neat with remote viewing to just be able to investigate and to explore these. I had a chance to do some tasking as well. And that's, I never thought that would be as fun as the actual viewing itself, but tasking, you have a little bit more control over what's being investigated. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it too. So the journey continues, and I'm enjoying just every moment of it. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here. Just want to do a quick update on my session, just to get it time stamped because we're already here on May 4th, so before stuff starts to happen. So I'm Dennis Nappy II. Thanks for watching, friends.